The next guest that we have on, I share something in common with. I'm the only guy in media that says Trump is going to be the nominee. Now, the only person in statewide elected office that has endorsed Donald Trump for president, New Hampshire State Representative Stephen Stepanek, and he's with us now, and he is a Republican, a veteran of New Hampshire politics. Way back in the day, we're going to be talking about that. Representative Stepanek, great to have you with us.
Well, thank you. It's wonderful to be here and wonderful to be talking to all those great people down in Virginia.
Well, I tell you what, Virginia is going to have a primary, a nominating primary, not a convention. We're going to be part of Super Tuesday. I'm predicting right now Trump is going to carry Virginia. Now, I want to get, before we get into why you endorse Trump and some of the other things that you've done, because it's pretty exciting. Look, on Saturday night at 5 o'clock, Trump has a rally in Phoenix. It's 100 degrees. He gets over 5,000 people to show up. The thing is packed. They can't get the people in. It's 2 blocks long. Some people got there at 5 a.m. to just be able to get into the convention center. This is what we call a movement, Stephen. I've never seen anything like this since Reagan. What is happening out there?
Well, I think what's happening is that Trump is the person who is saying what everybody wants to say, but is afraid to say it. And Donald Trump is not afraid to speak the truth. He is not afraid of the political correctness police that are out there telling us what we have to say, what we have to think, and what's the right way to say it. He says it the way it is, and that's what's striking a chord with people. People are excited to hear finally someone is standing up and speaking their mind and speaking for them. And you're seeing the results. I mean, he just came out. I think he's statistically tied now with Jeb Bush as far as the number one candidate. And when he announced, I remember clearly, just prior to him announcing that they said, well, he probably won't even make the top 10 as far as the debate is concerned. And I think when August 6th rolls around, he's going to be solidly, firmly number one. And, of course, everybody's now going to pile on him and criticize him. And I think that's what's happening with this whole immigration thing. If you go back and look at what he said, it wasn't that outrageous, and nobody thought it was that outrageous for the first week after he made his announcement. You didn't hear anything.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, the polls come out, and the political establishment is like, holy smokes, where is this? Mm-hmm. How did this guy get this much attention? We've got to rip him down. How do we do that? And that's what this controversy is all about. They're afraid of Donald Trump. The establishment cannot control him. He is out there. One of the reasons that I am supporting him is because he said and is self-funding his own campaign. That being said, that means all of the lobbyists, all of the political action groups, he doesn't have to go to them for money, so he doesn't have to dance to their tune as far as what they want done in Washington. He is not under their control, and that scares Washington. Somebody who they cannot control because he doesn't need their money. And that scares the heck out of the establishment, and that's why they're lining up against him.
I think that's it. Look, there's no question that he's rattling the cages of the elite, and they're accustomed to being able to, like Reince Priebus wanted to be able to pick up the phone, just like Haley Barbour did. I've told the story 100 times on the air. Called Steve Forbes in '96 and said, "You got to take these negative ads in New Hampshire against Bob Dole down because Bob Dole is going to be the nominee. You're not going to be the nominee. You're just hurting the brand of the party. Blah blah blah." Forbes was ahead at the time, took his ads down, got beat. Buchanan wins. Forbes is out after Florida, and Dole got plastered. See, this is what the Republican Party, the elite, want to be able to do. Pick up the phone and tell people what to do. Priebus called Trump. 10 minutes. Trump said, "Thanks for the update. Have a good day." This drives them bananas, Steve.
Oh, there's no question about it. And when I talked to various people, when I first indicated that I was going to be supporting Donald Trump, I'm in my fifth term as a state rep here in New Hampshire, so I know it's a small state. I know most all of the political people here in the state, and they all looked at me like I was nuts and said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing that?" And I said, "Because I want to win. I'm sick of the standard politicians. I've listened to them all. I was at the Freedom Summit in Iowa back in February. I was also at the Freedom Summit in South Carolina in April. I got to talk to all the different candidates one-on-one, and what I came away with was the same old thing. They're making promises, and it's tough to tell the difference sometimes between the Democrats and the Republicans. They're all making all these promises of all these things they're going to do, and then they get to Washington and they don't do it.
Absolutely.
And I said, this country is in serious trouble. It is no longer the greatest country in the world. It is no longer a leader. We need to fix this country. I'm ashamed to say that we are at a point now where my generation, is going to turn over to the next generation, a country that is not better off than what I got from our previous generation. Our country is broken. We need to fix it. We need somebody who will fix it, and that's Donald Trump. He is somebody who knows how to fix things. He's the type of person who will go out there, who will find the best people to solve a problem. And that's one of the reasons I'm really supporting him. When you look at previous politicians, the only one who comes to mind that can do and did what Donald Trump can do was Ronald Reagan.
Right.
Ronald Reagan had the unique ability to identify a problem and then get the best possible people to solve that problem. And that's what Donald Trump has done his entire life throughout his business career. And more importantly, if somebody isn't doing the job, Donald Trump knows how to fire them and in sense, he is going to hold people accountable, which is not the way things are done in D.C. People in D.C. never get fired. They just get pushed off to another job, and there's no consequences. So nobody worries about doing a good job.
Right. The lack of accountability is incredible. All you have to do is look at the VA and what a disaster that is, and how our veterans are suffering as a result of the fact that nobody can get fired, nobody can get anything done. I would love for President Donald Trump's first meeting with Robert McDonnell and ask. I would love to be a fly on that wall, see how that goes. Steve, you're a veteran of this stuff. I mean, you ran the Rudy Giuliani campaign in 2008. You've also followed this stuff for a very long time. What does Trump have to do to win New Hampshire?
Well, and specifically in New Hampshire, he's got to have a good ground game. New Hampshire is all grassroots, and that means you have to get out, you have to meet the people, you have to be in the state on a regular basis, meeting the people and getting out to town halls, to various events that we have around the state, shaking hands, greeting people, talking to people, taking their questions. That's how you do it in New Hampshire. You don't do it with ads. You don't do it with 30-second spots the way you do in a lot of the bigger states. We're a small state, but we're a very well-informed state as far as our politics is concerned. And quite frankly, Donald Trump is resonating with the people here in New Hampshire. You know, I was asked at one of the events by, I think it was a CNN reporter, who is Donald Trump going to take votes from? And I said, he'll take votes from a variety of different people, but what you people don't understand, what the establishment doesn't yet understand about Donald Trump, is that in the last presidential election, we had just over 50% of the registered voters in this country actually voted. Why? Because they're sick and tired of politics as usual. They're tired, they've been turned off, they've been disillusioned by politics. Donald Trump is reaching out to those people. He is resonating with those people. And what Donald Trump is going to do is he's going to bring in millions of people who haven't participated in the electoral process in the past, because finally there's somebody who will stand up for them. He's not a politician. He's a person who can get things done. And I think you're going to see people are going to be shocked when they see how many people came out to vote who haven't voted in years, decades even, who are going to come out and support Donald Trump because they feel finally there's somebody who's going to stand up for me, and that's just not going to make another political promise.
We're with New Hampshire State Representative from the Amherst area Republican, Steve Stepanek. Steve, that's why I think the polling numbers right now for Republicans are understated, because you look at what Trump is polling right now. What they're not polling are independents who are going to cross over and vote for Trump in these Republican primaries where they're able to, like Virginia. That's why I think he's going to win Virginia handily, because you can participate as an independent. You don't have to be a registered Republican. The other thing I want to make mention of is the Jeb Bush people are running around chortling, celebrating about the fact that their PAC raised $113 million in this past in this past recording cycle. Now, let me just ask you something. Did that $113 million come from grassroots activists who are really fired up about the Jeb Bush for president campaign? Stephen, where do you think that money came from? Came from lobbyists, came from Silicon Valley, came from Wall Street, came from the globalists, came from the banksters, came from the tarpists, came from all the interests that want to see the status quo continued. Is it not?
You're absolutely right. And again, what I said at the top of the show, Donald Trump is self-funding. Believe me, if Jeb Bush is successful in getting elected, those people who are donating that kind of money, I mean, there was I think it was highlighted during that time frame, and people were really excited about it, that he actually held $1 million a head fundraiser. $1 million. Believe me, if somebody's giving $1 million to Jeb Bush, they expect him to pick up the phone on the first ring. They expect him to listen to what they have to say, whether it's for the good of the country or not. He has to listen to them because they gave him $1 million. Donald Trump doesn't have to do that. Donald Trump has only one special interest group that he will listen to, and that's the American people. And that's finally resonating with people. They talk about they want to get the money out of the system. Well, Donald Trump doesn't need any money. He's going to do it on his own. And when he gets into office, when he's elected president, he will be responsible only to the American people, because no one will have given him $1 million, because he doesn't need it. He doesn't want it. I mean, he's getting, even though he isn't actively soliciting money, every day he gets thousands of individuals who are giving $5, $10, $20 because they believe in him. And he's not asking for it. It's just coming voluntarily. He's not out there doing the big fundraising that the Jeb Bushes of the world or the Hillary Clintons of the world are doing. And therefore, he's not going to be, beholden to any of those people, any of those special interest groups, just the American people. And that's what's exciting about Donald Trump. And you're absolutely right. We have the same electoral process here in New Hampshire where independents can come into either the Democrat or the Republican primary. And I think that in New Hampshire, the independents are going to break huge for Donald Trump, and he's going to walk away with New Hampshire because he is doing all the right things in there. He's in the state on a regular basis. He's building a phenomenal ground game here, and he's going to win New Hampshire. I think he's going to win Iowa, and then he's going to go on to win the presidency. South Carolina he's spending a tremendous amount of time there, as in Nevada. It's an exciting campaign. It's an exciting time. I think this country is at a crossroads, and we need somebody like Donald Trump. We don't need another politician who's just going to manage the decline of this nation.
Well, Steve, I think you hit it on the head. He's going to win Iowa. He's going to win New Hampshire. I think he's going to win South Carolina. He's not going to win Florida, obviously, but then I think he's going to win a majority of delegates on Super Tuesday, including Virginia. Linda, the bottom line is, when you look at New Hampshire and the independents who are not part of the Republican polling, you look at what happened. All you have to do is go back to 2000. John McCain, behind to George Bush, wins New Hampshire by a tremendous amount. Same thing happened with McCain in 2008. Same thing happened with Reagan, who was tied with Bush in 1980. Going into that, he wins easy. And when they looked at the exit polls, it was independents who came over. That's why I think his results in New Hampshire are greatly understated. Look, I'm out of time. I want to thank Steve Stepanek for being with us. Steve Stepanek, a Republican state representative of New Hampshire. That's the Amherst area, and he has backed the Trump for President campaign. Steve.